So, good morning and welcome to our time together. We're talking about finishing 22 strong and starting 23 better. So, I'm excited about this first initial group that's here this morning, and we are going to kick off. So, I got five things to say before we jump into the content this morning. Number one, there's nothing I'm selling, so you can relax and just get ready to receive. So, I want to make sure I say that at the beginning. There's nothing that I'm selling. And I know sometimes when people jump on a webinar, you're waiting for the pitch. And so there is no pitch this morning. There is just about helping and preparing and speaking words of wisdom and then words of challenge so that we would prepare ourselves for the closeout of this year and then the start of next year. The second thing is it's going to be fast paced with tons of content. I expect 20 minutes of content, and then I'm going to leave 10 to 15 minutes where I'm going to open up the floor and answer any questions that may be in the room. The third thing is I want you to know that I will answer all of your questions here, or if I don't get to these questions here, I'll provide a private room where that I'll be able to complete and answer the questions that you may have. The fourth thing is I do have a gift for each of you that have showed up this morning. For showing up, I want to offer you a 15-minute complimentary coaching call where we can even dive deeper into your specific area. And then the fifth thing that my ask is that I want you to commit. My students already know this term, MIIA, and I want you to commit to massive, immediate, imperfect action. So I want you to commit that if you hear something this morning, the thing that you need to act upon, that you'll commit to MIIA, and that's massive, immediate, imperfect action. All right, with that being said, we're going to jump right in. Inside the chat, there is a chat box that's on the bottom. You can utilize that chat box for the next 10 to 15 minutes. I will share the content, and then at that point, then I'll answer questions. So if you have a question, you don't want to forget it, you don't have a pen and a pad, you can use the chat box, and then we'll go and start to answer those questions in the chat box. Matter of fact, while you can utilize the chat box even now. Won't you just put in there where you're listening from, put your name and your number in there, and then or not your name and number, but maybe what you do, your business. You just never know who you meet on calls like this or who listens to this call at a future time. This call will be listened to for the duration of the Assist You to Win's time. So please go ahead and utilize the chat. You can put what you do inside there as well. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So the first thing I want to say is as we finish 22 strong and start 23 better, the first thing I need you to catch is we are doing this because we are wanting a different style, a different expectation that we have over our life. You know, as I say, there's two approaches that we can approach our lives with. We can take a helicopter approach, and that is to start something and just think it's going to lift off, or we can take a runway approach. A runway approach is simply where you go down the runway, you prepare for it, and then you take off. So we're going to start with the first thing, and that is define. The first word that I really want to challenge you on is that you must define both where you are, define where you've been, but most importantly, we have to define where you are headed. So the first word that I want to really challenge you on is how clear are you on where you are going in your world right now? How clear are you on that? Have you defined where you want to end up? So as you look at, we're in August 8th today. That's where we are today. If you're listening to this at a different time, this is recorded on August 8th. And when you look at that and you look at the end of the year, how detailed are you in what it is that you want to accomplish? Do you have that truly defined? Not only have you defined where you want to end up, but have you defined who you want to serve? Some of you on the call, you have gifts that you want to serve to people. I see Johnny Mack's on the call. So in the course of Johnny Mack, he has a business that is about building people and helping people produce books and content that will ultimately help them produce their brands, that can naturally help them go into the place of having a profitable business. So not only have you defined what you do, but have you defined who you want to serve? Who do you want to serve? The third thing is, have you defined when and where you're going to show up? So now that you've defined what you do, you define who you want to serve, you have to define when and where you're going to show up. In the last season of my life, I went offline for almost 16 months. And in the course of being offline for 16 months, I was still serving some individuals, but I wasn't at the same place. And I took the time to become clearer on what I do with Assist You to Win and who I am and where I want to show up, how I want to show up. And I did it to the place where, with clarity, I always say clarity is the first thing that an individual needs to have. The clearer you are on your picture, the easier it is to develop strategy. It is quite difficult to develop strategy when there has not been the definition of clarity. Without clarity, there's no need for strategy. The strategy is, let's get clarity. Clarity starts all things. It all begins with clarity. If you told me that you are in Dallas and you wanted to go to Austin, you're clear on your destination and you're clear on your location. The directions now are easy to get to you because you have clarity in the 2 points. You know where you are and you know where you want to end up. But when you go to the airport, if you walk in and you have no ticket and you look at the board, there are plenty of flights leaving out of DFW. We have my good friend Lori on, who happens to be one of the things she does. She does many things, but one of the things she does, she's a travel agent. If you walked into the airport and have no destination in mind, there are lots of places that you could end up because there are lots of flights headed to places. You'll pay a fare, but if you don't have a location in mind, then you could possibly end up anywhere. So I'm saying this morning, how clear are you? How clear are you? If I gave you a sheet of paper, you should be able to, on that sheet of paper, tell me who it is that you want to serve, what you do, and you should show me where you show up. So I want to show you something this morning, because in the course of this is that I think it's easier sometimes to see things, not just hear things. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to share my screen with you here this morning. And in the course of it, I want you to see, I just told you with Assist You to Win, I went and got a whole nother level of clarity. So as you see, you should see my screen right now. So this is going to be a twofold document that I want to show you this morning. And in the course of this, I just want you to see that you're going to need to get as clear as I had to get with my business. I wanted to serve people, and I had to get clear with who I was going to serve, how I was going to serve them, and when I was going to show up. And so I just took the time to make what I call my client journey map. This right here is a journey map that lets me see where people are in the process and how they meet me, what happens next. And I have a process and I can see it and I can navigate through it. The next thing, though, is I want you to see, you can see now through here, you can also see that I am clear, I am crystal clear on what I'm doing from now till the end of 2023. I told you that you have to define. Your definition is going to now produce your strategy. Because I've defined who I want to serve, how I'm going to serve, and when I'm going to show up, it enables me to have a roadmap or a system where you can see the steps along the way of where we're going. In September, I'll do one-day classes called Finish Strong, Start Better, which I'm doing virtually because people ask me, well, Coach, I can't come physically to the one-day class. Well, can you teach the information over Zoom. So I then said, yes, I'll do that. Every Monday in August, I'm doing this class right here on Monday morning at 7 a.m. As you see, October through December, we have our signature 90-day coaching course that's back out. In January, we have the 1 day, the Jordan year experience that we're going to be teaching. And I could go on, but you can see visually that I have defined with clarity where I am and where I decide to go. And because we've defined that, we now have strategy, which is the next thing that you have. All right, so define. That's the first word that I want you to get. Have you defined who you are, what you do, who you want to serve, and how you're going to show up? That's number one. Number two this morning is assign. Once you define that and you are crystal clear in that, you can now assign. Everything defined needs to be assigned a date and a deadline. I'll say that again. Everything that we assign needs to be assigned a date and a deadline. Now, you all know that we as human beings are the best of what we intend to do, getting ready to do, about to do. But I don't want us to live in that land there. I want you to know when you're actually going to do it, which means you assign a date and a deadline. Right now in my world, our middle child, we're going through baseball scholarships. He's going to be a senior this year, and so we're listening to coaches and some recruiters. They're calling us in regards to where he's going to play ball next year. Now, in the course of all those things, I then listen to them tell me their first thing, oh, we're interested. And my job as a parent is to help bring some definition to what they say. I was just on a call last Thursday with one of the recruiters, and he said, well, we want Torrin to come up and we want to visit. I said, okay, well, let's look at our calendar and assign a date to that. We want a date to the things that we say we're interested in so that we know we can reverse engineer from there. That's the same thing for you. Have you assigned a date and a deadline to all the things that you got definition to? When are you going to have the book done? When are you going to develop your signature talk? When are you going to post for your next client? Assign. Everything defined needs to be assigned a date and a deadline. So that map that I just showed you, because I have that map, I now can reverse engineer and I have a posting plan that coincides with the map. But if I didn't have the map, I would be an emotional poster. An emotional poster is an individual that posts based on what they feel, based on what they see going on, but they have no plan for what they're doing. It's just based on their emotions. Now, I'm not going to go deep into this because this is a whole nother lesson that we talk about, but there is a place for an emotional poster. Let me give it to you. There's on most platforms that we post, you have the post, you have a story, and you have a reel. You have a post, you have a story, and you have the reel. The post should be the place that you think about the permanent things that you want people to see about you. The story is for your emotions. So anybody that's following me, they know that right now I am big on golf. But most of my golf posts are inside of my stories. Because if you didn't know, your stories live for 24 hours. So it helps the people that are following me day to day to know what's going on around me. That's why I post my stories. But I post permanent things around my brand. Because when people go back and research you, they're looking for that. You don't want to see all of the one-off things that people are doing. You want to see the things that really speak about who they are. Inside of your reels are where you have the opportunity to go viral. I had a reel just recently have over 130,000 views. How did it happen? Don't know. Why did it happen? Not sure. But because of that, I had a new group of people start following me from that place. I'm just saying you have to be systematic and you have to have a plan for even in the course of your posting. So we talked about define. We talked about assign. You got to assign a date and a deadline. What am I doing in the month of August? What am I doing in the month of September? What am I doing in November in order to finish strong? Where do I want to end up by December of 2022? Because I know that target, I know now what I got to do each and every month, each and every week, each and every day. It drives all of that. The third word I want to give you is align. Okay, align. Once you define, now we've assigned dates and deadlines. Now we want to align. Now here's where the rubber meets the road and what many of us need to do right here. When I think of align is where I'm going to align my time. I'm going to align my resources. I'm going to align my energy. I'm going to align my relationships, my focus, my discipline. I really should say I'm going to align everything. What I did during my 16-month break is I defined, I assigned, and then I started to align. Now, I have to tell you, when you go through a line, there's a few things that occur. One, you realize that you can't do everything. I had to let that sit in. I wanted to do more than I really needed to do. And because of your heart being big, your hands still have limitations. I had to come to grips that my capacity to do, just because I could do, didn't mean I needed to do. I was on a call with Johnny Mack, and one of the men, he said it so well to me that I've attached myself to it. He said the capacity to do something doesn't mean that you have to have, just because you have the competency to do doesn't mean you have to have the capacity to do. Man, I'm just telling you. Right here, I want to stop here because I got some people on here that I need you to hear me and hear me well. My wife has been listening to me really go to the next level in some areas of my life. And she's been thinking I've been beating myself up lately, but I haven't. It's because I evicted myself from good. Somebody got on the call just for this moment right now. I sent myself an eviction letter that said, you can no longer live in good. Some of us have to send ourselves a personal eviction notice that says good is no longer acceptable. The reason why elevation may not have come in your world is because you're okay with just being good. People don't hire good when great is available. I have a desire to impact people. I have a desire to help people win. So I had to eliminate. So in the course of aligning, I evaluated that everything wasn't for me. My name says my brand, which is to assist you to win. I know where my strengths are, and I know that I could do what Johnny does, but I will not do it as well as he does it. And so that's where my brand has to kick in, assist you to win. So instead of me saying, let me help you write a book, I have to say, I know somebody that writes books. But when you come to me saying, I need clarity, that's where I know that's where I live. See, I live around 3 words right now. That's it. The three words I live around are clarity, strategy, and accountability. So if somebody needs one of those three things, I know they're my people. If somebody does not need that, I know I may be a starter for them, but an introducer to them. Oh, come on, you got to catch this morning. You need to start people on the journey and introduce to who's going to take them to the next level around the journey. So I'll introduce people to people, and I'm going to connect people. I'll have conversations about people, but I won't coach everybody. So I got some flack when I went to this model, but you'll always get flack on the way to where you need to go. And you have to be so committed to what you know you're supposed to be doing that you know that it's okay if you're going to ruffle feathers. So I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to evaluate to eliminate. You're going to evaluate to eliminate. My big goal in 2022, 2023 is to speak at 5 corporations. 5. Well, Derek, do you want to speak more? I would love to, but my big goal is to speak at 5. But these are 5 corporations that I have triggers on, that I have the heartbeat for, that I have the gift for, and I have them identified as the people that I want to serve. And so now I do everything from my resources, my energy, my time, my discipline, my focus, my practice, all based around who I'm there to serve. When you do this, it frees you because it's easy to say yes to your assignment, and it's hard to say no if you don't know your assignment. You got to know that. Okay. So we evaluate to eliminate, and then we evaluate to duplicate. We evaluate first to eliminate, but then we evaluate to duplicate. See, I want to duplicate myself. I want to be able to do more of what I'm gifted to do and less of what I may be asked to do, but I don't need to do. Okay, you got it. It helps you to evaluate time wasters. It helps you when you do this, you're going to identify your time wasters. You're going to evaluate, listen to me, your people drainers. There are sometimes people in your world that's draining you, but it's the only reason they're allowed to is because you give them access to do it. And you're going to evaluate. And when you get focused, you're going to be able to tell people, I'm sorry, I have an assignment, I have a meeting, I have a plan, and that's just how it is. Not that you can't help them, but you're going to help them within your scope. All right. So here's one of my challenges to you. And I got one last word, and then I'm going to open up the floor for Q&A. All right. Is you first must either evict yourself or fire yourself. So this morning, some of you're going to fire yourself from your own brand. And then you're going to reapply, and you're going to hire yourself. See, if you keep going down the same road, you'll keep getting what you've been getting. But if you make some tweaks, it could actually have you lift off. Okay. And our last word that I want to tell you is that after we've defined, after we have assigned, after we've aligned, now the last and final word today is I want you to apply pressure. I want you to apply pressure. I'm teaching my daughter right now how to drive. And one of the things with the new driver, they're either going to be heavy foot or they're going to be easy on the foot. Now, the benefit is the middle child, the baseball player, heavy foot. He's going to turn the corner on the gas. Now, my daughter, light foot. She's going to turn and we're going to stop and then go. And so I have to tell her, push the pedal down. The pedal's what causes you to make your progress. The pedal's what helps you to move forward. I have to tell her, push the pedal down. Can I tell somebody in here? Push the pedal down. Once you define, once you've aligned, once you've assigned, once you have gotten to the place where you've eliminated, now it's time to apply pressure. Because without pressure, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. I talked to a young man, his name is Malik, and I gave him one tip to do, one coaching call with him, one tip. That one tip, but I got to tell you, he applied pressure to it. It has transformed him, and even to this day, he's still doing the tip. He's still getting the results. I have a lady out in Mississippi named Tina. She's a broker, and we just started working together. Within 3 weeks, she came on week 2 call with only 2 clients that she already had before she met me. On week 3 of our call, I see a big smile over her face. And I'm wondering, oh boy, because I start every call off with, please tell me one of the wins that you had for the week. Let me know one of the wins you had. So she said, Coach, are we going to start off the way we did last week? Because she's new to me. So I said, yeah, that's exactly how we're going to start. She said, well, great. I'm glad to tell you. She said, so one of the things that you challenged me on was X. And I did the X. And let me tell you, I got 6 new clients this week. I said, what? She said, yeah, I got 6 new clients this week, all because I executed. I said, Tina, well, first off, let's say I'm proud of you. You applied pressure. She said, yeah. And we, naturally went on in the call. Here's what I'm telling you. It doesn't take a lot to change a lot. I'll say that again. It doesn't take a lot to change a lot. You need to know that they're researching you, they want you, they're looking for you, they just need you to show up. And when you apply pressure in your gifting, they can't help but hire you. They can't help but say yes to you because you've applied pressure in the area that is for you. So I end today with MIIA, massive because the bolder is better. You need to be an intentional disruptor. Immediate, because if you don't go now, you'll talk yourself out of it. Imperfect, perfection procrastinates. It has to get done more than it has to be perfect. I'd rather you have a typo and you have a product than for you to have it perfect and it never gets launched. Action, because the universe says yes when you move. It will not say yes if it stays up here. So this day, I want you to right now start telling yourself, I will take action in the following area. What's that going to be for you? How are you going to transition from where you are to where you're going to end up? So I show you this last slide here, just as I get ready to open up the line for Q&A. I want to show you. When I changed, it all changed. This right here, these 2 examples, when I saw how people moved with me, I was able to put now a full plan in place. When I did this right here, just think about the things now when you know where you are. So for some of you, your business people, for a business, it needs to have this. For my realtors, it needs to have this. For coaches, it needs to have this. No matter who you are, you need to have this. For personal development, you need to have this. This is where it all begins. It begins and ends with how clear you are about what it is that you're going to do. All right. So again, I want to thank you for joining me today. As I told you, there will be no selling. As I told you, there'll be nothing else except for me to serve you. Now, I'm going to open up for Q&A. If there's any questions, I want to answer any of your questions. It may be questions just around this content, and it may be a question that got triggered for you that you say, while I have you, I want to answer any of these questions that you may have. So at this time, I'm going to open up the floor. If you have a question, you can just unmute your mic, ask your question, and then I'll answer it, and then we'll go from there. All right?
Well, great morning, Coach.
Great morning, Johnny.
Listen, man, you just, you're not asking for anything, but you definitely should receive something. You brought the fire. I'm not here to give you no accolades or whatever. But listen, two things. First off, in my quiet time this morning, you just confirmed what I received in my spirit. And he said you have to take the bait. That means you have to believe and implement today. B-A-I-T, believe and implement today. And that's what I plan to do. So my ask is huge, but I think that I'm ready now to ask that because I've defined, I'm ready to assign. That's what I'm going to ask, and I'm aligned properly. And I think that the apply pressure means to refine the whole process so that it can be moving forward. My event, my next major event that I'm focused on now is September 17th. And Jeanette and I both would love for you to be the MC for that event. We'll talk to you about all of that offline. So put that on in your spirit there. And I think that now I'm at a point where this event, just to do it without a plan for the next events and the call to action is just really a waste of time and just a vanity experience. So I need to be clear on what my next steps are, what the call to action is from that event there, because ultimately what you've just shown me is that if I do this properly, I can effectively, my ROI could be beyond my imagination. So I'd like to schedule some time to talk with you about the best next steps after the event, and then also to get your input in the event. That's it. Thank you, sir.
Sounds good. Yeah. Just as a whole, without going into details on that, but yes, if you don't have your next when you do your now, you have to recreate all your momentum, and you don't get to carry people through a journey experience. You're carrying people from event to event. I'll use this because you know her, and this is we're in an intimate setting, but it's even for those that are listening to the recording. I forgot I'm recording, so let me say it this way. If you go look, when LaTanya just did her last event, before she did her event, I talked to her and I said, you have to have the date for your next event. You don't have to have the details, but you have to have the date. Because, watch this, tribes start with individuals, but you'll always have to go back and have more momentum and create momentum if you don't have that next. So yeah, when you're doing your now, you have to have your next, because it helps you go through that journey. So again, we'll talk offline even more in detail, but thank you for that, Johnny. Good stuff. All right, anybody else? It's so good to see you, Mr. Shauna. Resilient by design, made it in the room. It's good to see you. Lori, I got your message. Yes, flight attendant. Flight attendant. What did I say? I said it wrong. Flight attendant, though. Yes,
He's
flight
travel
attendant. What did you say? I said travel agent?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. No, yeah. She's a flight attendant for Delta. Yes, right. That's good stuff. I love it. I remember when I met Lori, I say this, she told me at the beginning, she said, I want to be the international real estate agent because I love to travel. She loves to travel. And she worked her plan, and we see her going all over. And I love that. I love that. I love it. So good stuff to you. Any other questions? Anybody else have anything, question, comment that they want to do before we conclude this morning?
I'll say a quick comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, Laurie. Hey, Dr. John. Dr. Derek, since I prophesied, Dr. Derek. Thank you. I jumped on this call. I'm glad to see you back in action on the scene, out. If you're not visible, like you say, if you're not visible, then people can't see you, so they can't buy from you the things that we know. And so I'm happy to see you back. And I'm glad I was able to jump on a call. And I just learned a lot, just actually making things concrete is important. If you don't know your directions, one of the things I'm truly learning is we say things, but we say we know things. I'm gonna say make it plain. Snap back, say she know things, but when you really know it, you can apply it, and it becomes a reality, and not just a head knowledge, but it become a practical knowledge. And even now, I'm doing something, and it's just direct of going with what you know to make it be a reality. So I just appreciate you. I might have to fire myself and rehire myself after listening to you. So I just want.
That's good stuff. No, that's good. No, you're so spot on. You're so spot on. You gotta have that. And like you say, we do know things, but it's what we apply that really gets us to that place. And when we apply, we then get to see how well do we know it. And it is the challenge too for us, because at the end of the day, though, if we're that good, then we should be that good, right? So, but no, we get it. It's all a journey, and yeah, I'm excited. So yeah, you'll see me like you see me for a little bit, and then you won't see me for a minute, but then you'll see me again. But yeah, but we're excited about what we have coming up in the near future. Got some real good things that we got planned for people. So good stuff. Good to see you as well.
Well, I'm glad you reinvented yourself also. And so it's important because you're correct. We can't do everything. Some things in the beginning you do a lot, but I also know you was hiring out a lot, but we can't do it all. And there's some areas when we want to perfect it and we want to go to that next level. It means hiring out someone or referring someone
Yeah.
who can be better at serving the people that you cannot justifully serve, not just you, but me, the Dr. John, as just area Laurie. When we know the direction where we going, then it definitely help us to get there quicker because we know the shortcuts. But when you don't know, because the GPS will have you all over somewhere and you be like, man, I know where I was going. But when you're not sure you know where you're going, then you go the long way around also. So
Yeah.
once again, I am happy to see you visible, even if it's for a moment, but because you're right, we come back and then we go back and then uh, redefine some things and, make some things better or eliminate them. So I am happy that I was able to jump on the call. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Coach D. I'm
Thank
a,
you
I'm
so
a,
much. I love it. All right.
Coach,
Anything else? Yeah.
Coach, before you go,
Yeah.
you started off the first three areas are the define, align, and assign. But you didn't really give a whole lot of enough. Could you expand a little bit more on applying the pressure? How do we apply pressure to ourselves and allow ourselves to do what needs to be done?
Yeah. Okay. Good. Great question. Okay. So when I think of apply pressure, it is when you're starting to be targeted. You're targeted in both who you're trying to connect with, what your content is saying, how you're posting, what you're posting. Those are applying pressure. Like if I give you some live examples for if it's watch this. I just give you some live stuff. And if you have to jump off the call, I understand. But I have until 8 o'clock that I just kind of designated. Matter of fact, let me stop the recording, Johnny, and then all right. So let's just stop the recording. We'll edit that last piece, but let's stop the recording here. Let's see.